Okay, this is the stock screener that I'm currently working on. I'll go ahead and refresh it. This is the current top gainers for April 30th on a Wednesday. And we have the price, we have the change percentage, we have the float in shares, the volume being traded, and the exchange. And down below, we have the news. And then if there's no current news, it'll say no current news. This just gives me an idea of what the current top gainers are for the low float stocks that are between $1 and $20. So let me go ahead and pause this and we'll see what it looks like during the afternoon with the top gainers. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go over the top gainers that were on the stock screener. So right now we're looking at the NASDAQ, and around 9:30, the market opened up at 9:30 and we sold off. It wasn't until around 10 o'clock to 10:05 that we started moving back up to the VWAP. And then around 11 o'clock, we closed above the VWAP and then we held it all day and then we rallied into the close. Now let's go ahead and look at the top gainers that was on the list. The first one is JFBR. So JFBR, that is Jeff's Brand Ltd. Now, if we look at this, it was a top gainer because it had a massive run up in pre-market, and then at 9:30 it just sold off, and then around 10:10 it just traded back up to the VWAP. Now, I would not have traded this. This I just would have passed on just because it sold off, it broke below the VWAP, and it just stayed down there. So I would not have traded it. Now, if it would have came down to the VWAP and then we would have held and had a reversal candle that you could have got in, that would have been good. But that did not happen, so there was no trade to be had on JFBR. Let's look at the other one. Other one was IVF. That is Invo Fertility Incorporated. And this one you could have traded. We opened up at 9:30. At this right here at 9:45 is when you would have gotten the alert. And what you could have done is you could have waited until you broke the high there, and then you could have got in, and then you could have, that was a 37-cent move. Let's say you've gotten like 20 cents out of it because you're not going to get the whole move. Let's say it moved up, then started moving back. If you have a winner, you should not let it come back onto you into a loser. So let's say you got 20 cents out of that. That would have been good. If you would have gotten in down here, then yeah, you would have gotten a 40-cent move. If you would have, let's say you would have gotten in here at 9:45, you got the alert. Let's say it broke the high there. But personally, I probably would have just waited until it broke that and just got like a 20-cent move. And because it ran up here, and then once it started retracing back on here, I would have gotten out at least at 10 cents just to take on like a $3 stock. You've got like 280 $3 stock. Let's say you do 1,000 shares and you got 20 cents. That right there is like $200 for the day. So that would have been a pretty decent one. And now JFBR had 1.2 million in float and 13 million volume, which it has pretty decent volume. IVF has, well, it says it has like 400,000 float, but that's really low, which we do like the low float stocks, and it has 10 million in volume. Now, one trade, ULY kicked off about like around here at 9:45. Yes, it had a big run up and it was a top gainer. The problem with ULY is the float is good because it's 900,000 float, but the problem is 124,000 volume. That's the volume that I have. Now I need to filter out these low volume floats. I mean, not the low volume. I need to filter out the low volume. We want low float, but we don't want low volume. We need to have the volume in order to get in and out of these trades pretty easily. So if I hover over this and I'm looking at the delta, as you can see down in the bottom there, like right around here, you look at that, that's like 709, that's like 7,000, that's like 2,000. So I just would not get into a low volume trade like that. IVF would have been good. JFBR, that would have been good because they're like 10 million, 13 million. And then the other one we have is RCKY. That is another one that has, RCKY has 7 million float, but the problem is it has like 110,000 volume. It's just low volume, too much low volume. As you can see here, 300 shares, then you have 500. I mean, it's just low volume and there's no way to get in and out of this. So I need to write some code and filter out these low volume stocks here. We want the low float, but not the low volume. Now we also have FRGGT, Freight Technologies. This was another one we could have traded. Again, if you look at this, this has 186,000, 84,000. If you look at the bottom left, right there, I have the delta change, which is like 177,000, 186,000. That's good because on a dollar stock, you can get in on like 1,000 shares in and out pretty easily. You can get in 5,000 shares. That would be pretty decent. Now, FRGT, you could have traded this right here. Right here is the candle at 9:45. It would have been triggered, so it would have came up on the scanner. And what I would have waited for, I would have waited until it comes back, until once it runs up past the VWAP. What I like is wait for a retracement. Wait for a dip back to around the VWAP and then get in. Now, if you would have done this trade, you wouldn't have gotten very much. Let's say you would have got in like right around in here, and then you would have, I mean, yeah, sure, it ran up to 15 cents, but let's say you got in around here. Maybe you were lucky and you got 10 cents out of this trade. Maybe you bought it once it pulled back here, it opened up and it closed. Let's say you bought it around the VWAP and then you closed it up here when it closed out. 11 cents, maybe 10 cents. Again, that wasn't a whole lot, but I mean, 10 cents, 1,000 shares, that's $100. Get about 5,000 shares and you got about $500 trade. Even if you would have gotten 5 cents out of this, that would have been like $50 trade. 5,000 shares, $250 trade. I mean, that's not bad for just a few minutes. And let's take a look at the other one. That's FRGT. Let's look at NTRB. NTRB, again, I need to filter out these low volume stocks. Now the float is 5 million, which is good. We like that. But the problem is very, very low volume. Very difficult to get in and out. That's something I don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the code and filter out these low volume traded stocks and only look for low float with high volume. High volume, I'm looking for at least 1 million, if not more. So JFBR was good. It had like 13 million volume, IVF, 10 million volume, and FRGT had 1.5 million volume. And those were the three that would have would have shown up if I filtered out these low volume trades. So you would have like 3 trades, JFBR, which that was not a trade because it just came down and stayed below the VWAP. That would not have been a trade, but IVF, that could have been a trade. As you can see right here, you get in, get yourself about 10, 20 cents. That would have been good. That right there was 234 volume positive delta on that candle. So you can get in, I mean, like a $3 stock, you get in 1,000 shares. That's like pretty decent trade right there. So I will go over some more of these top gainers. I'm going to write some code and filter out these low volumes, and then I'll show you the progress that I have on it. Also, I'm going to be working on some more things with this scanner. What I'm going to be looking for is during pre-market, I'm going to be looking for news that comes out, because news comes out at 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30, and 9 o'clock. Now, 8 and 8:30 are your top ones that come out. So I'm going to be looking for some news that comes out, and if it's positive, I'm going to show it up on the scanner, and it's going to be with low float, high volume, with positive news. And then I'm going to have that on the site as well. But for right now, all this is on my local machine, so I'm just testing things out. Just write down in the comments down below what kind of stuff that you would like to have as far as for a scanner. That's all I have. Later.